We are going to learn to jam to the A Pentatonic alternative rock jam track available on the site. It's a pretty simple jam. It really only consists of 4 different power chords. We've got an A power chord, a G, an E, and then later on for the bridge section we have an F. And that's about it. So if you think of all those notes, they're all in the A minor scale. That makes it pretty easy for us to jam over the top of this using A minor or A pentatonic minor. Since this is the beginner's lesson, we're going to go straight into the pentatonic minor scale. I think it's a little easier to use. So what we do is we find A on our 6th string. That's going to be right here on the 5th fret. Once I found A, I can actually play my pentatonic minor scale just by doing this. And you've probably seen this 100 times, hopefully. If not, the shape is available online. We're doing pentatonic minor, the very first shape. So now that we found it, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the track, I'm going to hit play, and I'm really going to just experiment with maybe just these notes here. Just the top 4 strings. I want to hear what those sound like when I play on top of the alternative rock jam track. And what I'm going to try and do, before I hit play, I'm going to just try and stay on the quarter notes or on the 8th note. So I'm going to listen to that beat, and I'm going to try and play notes on every one of those beats. It might not even be that interesting, but at least it'll work. It'll at least be musical. But this first time it might sound a little boring. Let's give it a try, though. All right. Okay, so that actually worked, right? I mean, it was a little slow. It might have been a little uninteresting, but hey, at least it sounded musical, right? It was in the right key and everything. So I think the next step, what we want to do is start adding in some bends. Once you've played around with the scale a little bit and experimented going over the entire thing, one easy way to start adding some flavor into your solo is to start bending. Bending's difficult. It's hard to do it correctly, but you don't have to do it correctly in rock and roll sometimes. You can just sound nasty. And a good note to start with that is on the 3rd string. If you're playing down the scale, this note with our ring finger, it's going to be the 7th fret on the 3rd string. That's a note that you can get away with bending a little bit, and it sounds good, or you can bend it a lot, and it still sounds good. So a whole step bend is much higher and much harder to play, and a half step bend is easier and just sounds nastier. So if I start adding that in, I'm also going to try and add in some hammer-ons and pull-offs this time around, like that, and just by combining these 4 strings of the pentatonic minor scale, a little bending on the 3rd string, and a little bit of hammer-on and pull-off, I'll actually have something that sounds like a guitar solo. So one more time here. All right, cool. Now, it's still a little bland, but it's got something going for it this time. The next step to bring this up a notch, obviously, when you take one of these new concepts like that, like adding in a bend, you should really experiment using that bend through the entire jam track. Just kind of overdo it. Really put in more bends than anybody wants, but it'll at least get you used to doing it, and you'll get some experience in how it sounds over different parts of the song as well. The next step would be adding in other notes of the A minor scale. Right now we're just working with A pentatonic minor. That's only 5 notes. So we were using A, C, D, E, and G, but A minor also has some other notes in there, and we're just going to use the rest of those. We'll put the whole thing in there. So here's the full A minor scale. A, B, that's a note we weren't playing before. C, D, E, F is a note we weren't playing before, and we can continue through G and A. The shape I'll be using is 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's it. So what I can do is I can start grabbing some of these notes out of the minor scale and injecting them into my guitar solo, but I'm going to try and kind of hang everything around on pentatonic minor. So most of what I'll be doing will be the pentatonic minor scale, and I'm still going to try and focus on just those 4 strings. I like those 4 strings. And then occasionally I'll maybe I'll grab this note, that B, and I'll see how that sounds. I'll also maybe try and grab this F, and hear how that fits into the jam as well. So now we've got pentatonic plus a little bit of the minor scale. Let's hear what that sounds like. Cool. Way better. Much more interesting. I mean, that alone just it puts a little color into the entire thing. Pentatonics get kind of dull and boring after a while. So by just adding a little bit of that minor scale, you can do yourself a lot of favors. One little easy shape to kind of remember, it's something I rely on a lot, is when you're in pentatonic up here on the first 2 strings, this high note is a C, but right underneath it is your ring finger on that B. That's one of the notes we'll be grabbing from our natural minor scale. So you can basically think of playing your pentatonic scale, but adding in this ring finger note, and you get a little bit of that minor flavor there. Right there on that. And then, of course, the other note right here, the F. So that's a good place to start off on jamming with this track. Use your A pentatonic scale in your first position. Very, very simple. And use your A minor scale. There's a lot of shapes you can use. I showed you the shape that I prefer to use. You know, when you try and learn a new technique or you're trying to learn a new scale, really give yourself time to absorb it. So I would do this dozens of times. Literally, just play with the song over and over and over again. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. Things are going to sound bad, but that'll be your reminder to not do them again. That's how your brain works. There's going to be some moments there that really sound good, and those are the kind of things you want to keep shooting for. So it helps to record yourself and take a listen. You can be a little bit more honest with how your playing is if you listen to it, because it's hard to judge when you're in the moment they're improvising. So I'll do another one of these because this jam track could be a lot more complicated than just pentatonic minor. So I will have another one of these up soon so you can see what the advanced method of soloing over something like this would be.